All right, let's go back to the phones and try our next caller from the 864 area code. Caller from 864, can you hear me? What's on your mind today?
Hi. Basically, I had two precursors to my question.
Wow.
First, the definition of terrorism, when you Google it on dictionary.com, is the use of violence and threats to intimidate and coerce, especially for political purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we know for a fact that the war on drugs was specifically started for political means, and they have used coercion, violence, and threats for decades. Is this somehow not a form of terrorism in itself?
Yeah, I've heard this argued before, and I guess we can slice and dice the definition of terrorism a number of different ways. Another popular way to frame this sort of same terrorism definition debate is, are any military actions by a country in some way, shape, or form terrorism? Because they often use violence and are meant to have a sort of political outcomes or repercussions. My question to you would be this. What difference would it make practically? In other words, we know the racist origins of the war on drugs. We know its disproportionate racial impact, economic impact on poor people. We know about uneven policing based on poor neighborhoods and rich neighborhoods. And we know about how the war on drugs as it exists was sort of a reaction to the Civil Rights Act of the 1960s. So what would change if we said, hey, you know what? It is a form of terrorism.
Well, honestly, I would like us to adapt what is going on in Portugal, where they have decriminalized, and actually the World Health Organization has suggested to the U.S. to decriminalize as well.
Okay, no, I agree with that, but hold on a second. Let's walk through it piece by piece if we can. Let's say we agree that the war on drugs is a form of terrorism. What impact would that have on any of our policy?
Well, it help to push to stop the war on drugs. That's what I think our goal would be in pushing for it.
Would it, though? Because has talking about American foreign policy abroad as terrorism in some circles changed American foreign policy abroad?
No.
No. Yeah, so I'm just not sure. I mean, I think it's a very interesting academic question, and I'm not, to be clear, I'm not writing it off as a silly question, right? I think it's interesting. When we look at the actual definition of terrorism, it's sometimes easy to forget how much of what happens domestically, or even that the U.S. is involved in internationally, could arguably fall under that definition. I just am unsure about what it will help us accomplish.
We just don't call it that.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, interesting question. I would just encourage you to think about, if we want to focus on that, we should really be sure that it will help us get to a political outcome that we want. And if it won't, it might not be the best use of our time. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. Very, very interesting topic.